Judges, are you ready? Have you ever been discriminated against because of your outfit? Hello, I'm Ollie.
And I'm Leo, and we are the leads.
Luciano is the crosser. Griffin is our butter, and Desmond is the summarizer. And we all believe that uniforms should be required in schools. We are the affirmative, and our value is welfare. Merriam-Webster defines welfare as the state of doing well, especially in respect to good fortune, happiness, well-being, or prosperity. Contention 1, safety. Everybody agrees that students should be safe in schools. Procon.org states, in Long Beach, California, after 2 years of district-wide kindergarten to 8th grade mandatory uniform policy, reports of assault and battery dropped by 50%, fighting incidents decreased by 34%, assault with a deadly weapon went down by 50%, fighting incidents went down by 51%, sex offenses were cut by 74%, robbery dropped by 65%, possession of weapons or weapon lookalikes decreased by 52%, possession of drugs went down by 69%, and vandalism was lowered by 18%. If everyone is safe, it will have a boost in their interaction and how they are able to cooperate in situations like group projects or events at school, improving their welfare and friendship at school.
Contention 2, pride. Wearing school uniforms makes students feel proud and like they belong. When everybody wears the same thing, it creates a feeling of unity and shows that they represent their school positively. A study by Oxford University found that students who wear uniforms have more pride and connection to their school. For example, in football games, people wear certain clothing, like team colors or team jerseys. When students feel proud as if they belong, they are more likely to participate in school activities which can help them cooperate and learn with their peers. They can also build a connection not only with their school, but together, allowing them to comfortably learn with each other. Also, you can heavily decorate and customize uniforms so they have other things to choose from, ranging from a small pin to a hat and tie. This gives them a feeling of freedom while also reasonably limiting worry about looks.
Contention 3, mental health. School uniforms can reasonably help with expressing oneself through clothing and be a great creative outlet for a student's mental health. In the absence of school uniforms, class barriers build up by increasing peer pressure from trying to fit in and look a certain way. In the absence of school uniforms, it can make students have worse self-esteem by making them have to live up to trends. A study by Linda Fossey comparing students with school uniforms to students without reported significantly less positive perceptions of belonging in their school community. School uniforms also remove one thing to worry about before going to school, which can help with attendance and setting a routine. School uniforms are shown to give students a better study ethic and reduce distraction while helping them stay on task and stay focused on their work, while showing the opposite of circumstances for other ones. In general, there are many educational benefits with school uniforms and many losses of those benefits in the absence of them.
In conclusion, we have stated that using school uniforms decreases both crime rates and social barriers while abiding to fashion and what school is designed for. And that is why we strongly believe that students should have to wear school uniforms. We thank you for your time. We are now ready for cross-examination by the opponent.
In contention 2, you stated that wearing school uniforms gives you pride, correct?
Correct.
What makes you proud to be a Windermere Eagle?
What makes me proud is I'm part of the school and part of what's happening.
Well, as you just said, there are other ways to make you feel proud in your school, correct?
That's correct, but it can make it, like having a uniform can make it more easier to be proud of your school.
Well, you still feel pride, so why do you have to force kids to wear school uniforms even when some of them don't want to?
Even if they don't want to, it can help them with other things that they may not know it helps.
So how does it help them if they don't know about it?
Well, it's smaller things and some bigger things. Like it can help them know like what to dress without having to spend minutes or maybe even hours if people care about their clothes a lot.
Where's your source?
We state this in contention 2, I believe, when we state that they can help make it easier for parents to decide what their kids should wear.
In contention 3, you stated that attendance goes up, correct?
Yes, attendance does go up.
Do you know how much?
No, we do not know the exact numbers, but it does make it go up.
In contention 1, you said that kids be more safe by wearing school uniforms. But aren't there other ways to keep kids safe, like alarms and cameras in schools?
Yes, those are other ways, but it can be much more expensive for schools to keep those up. Also, it could be harder to keep track of those than it is for uniforms.
Well, break-ins can still happen because robbers can easily just wear the same school uniform and blend in.
It's harder to get exact school uniforms when you do that because they are usually custom made for the school.
That's it.
Judges, are you ready? As part of the evaluation, students' voices are often forgotten. Hello, my name is Allie, and my part is on the prospects Autumn, the Rebel, and Helena Summarizer. We argue the negative, and we believe that students should not have school uniforms because without uniforms, kids can be themselves, that uniforms are too expensive, and that they are sexist in classes. Our value is well-being. We will now define our value. The definition of well-being is to be good physically and mentally. The first reason that shows why we shouldn't have uniforms is because when there are no uniforms, kids can be themselves. You can see this because even though schools might allow students to wear some accessories with uniforms, they still aren't able to show their true selves. After all, students are still wearing the exact same thing, which gives them no individuality. This relates to well-being because many schools said that students who were depressed weren't getting any better. You can see this because ParentingScience.com says kids who attended schools with a uniform policy were just as likely as other children to suffer from emotional problems. They experience similar rates of depression. In other words, they don't have much mental security, which they need to feel safe and happy. This source is reliable because the author has a PhD in anthropology. Implementing school uniforms also takes away time and money from using more effective ways to prevent crime, like hiring more staff to monitor the halls or getting better supplies for if a threat was coming, like bulletproof doors. This happens because average uniforms cost $249. Someone could easily try to get similar clothing and blend in with the students in the school if there are school uniforms also. Another way you can see this is that sometimes students are not able to afford a uniform and they have to go to school without one. Some kids might pick on them for not being able to afford a uniform for school. I know this because from all the websites we researched, Smart Asset, Pro GreatSchools.org, and more resources, everyone mentioned the expensive uniforms and families losing money paying $100 to $300 per uniform. This is even more unfair for low-income families because they might have to limit the things they can buy. Another reason that school uniforms should be banned is because they are sexist and target girls. I would also anticipate unique differences by gender, with the females indicating there are more benefits to wearing them. I'll show Colorado. This is important because it is sexist to girls by giving them more rules and dress codes than boys. Sexual harassment can include verbal, nonverbal, and physical acts, including sexual comments, obscured photos, and sexual touching. The majority of cases involve boys targeting girls. 37% of girls report experiencing sexual harassment compared to 6% of boys. This means that when girls are wearing uniforms, boys target them more. From RMTLEINT. We are now ready for cross-examination.
Judges, are you ready? So, I'm pretty sure in contention 2, in contention 2, you talked about how uniforms cost $100 to $300 per uniform. Is that annual or just for each set?
It's for each set.
What's your source for that?
Worldcon.org.
How do uniforms not let kids express themselves with accessories?
Because accessories are not very expressive. You can only see a little bit, and your clothing is usually what you use to express yourselves in most cases.
You talked about how the cost of uniforms could be used in better ways, but like, even if they're expensive, wouldn't the funds from those be able to be used for something like safety or, like funding the school and activities?
It could be, but it's very harsh on parents.
If somebody were to have too much freedom of choice, could it not hurt the well-being of others with offensive messages and influences?
Could you repeat that?
If somebody were to have too much freedom of choice, could it not hurt the well-being of others with offensive messages and influences?
Most likely not.
Are all uniforms like across the world generally $100 to $300, or is that purely in the United States?
Generally across the world.
What source did you use for your definitions in the introduction?
Oxford Dictionary and Stanford Dictionary.
How do uniforms influence sexual harassment more than other clothes?
Pass.
For contention 1, what was your tag?
Oh, for contention 1, it was safety.
I think that's pretty much all the time we have. Thank you.
In our contentions, we stated many arguments ranging from a wide variety of advantages of school uniforms. In contention 1, we talked about uniforms being a safer campus for students to be able to learn by lowering crime rates and letting students comfortably cooperate with each other. In contention 2, we talked about how school uniforms allow people to be proud of the school they attended and let them be able to cheer together and with each other as they learn, while still representing themselves with customization. Lastly, in contention 3, we talked about the mental health of students being affected positively by school uniforms due to expression, while the absence of school uniforms being able to revert and invert these positive effects.
In the opposing script, they talk about a lot of stuff, like in contention 1, they talk about benefits without and downsides with school uniforms. In contention 2, they talk about school uniforms being expensive. But in contention 3, they talk about sexual harassment in school uniforms and them being sexist. In their rebuttal, they do not want to respond to how school uniforms increase sexual harassment more than normal clothes. This means that they could possibly be trying to avoid that they are wrong. That's it.
Judges, are you ready? Our value is well-being, and the definition is that you are all well and good, mentally and physically. Kids can't express themselves. Uniforms also make it harder to compliment someone so they feel bad. Without uniforms, you can show your personality better. Uniforms limit creativity. Uniforms cost $249. School uniforms are sexist. 90% of school uniforms are in dress codes target girls. Females have described many times that they have been harassed. When the other team was asked about other safety precautions, they said it would be hard to keep track of alarms, but they ring, and you don't have to be walking around in schools or looking for computers. When the other team was asked about other ways to make you feel prideful, when they were asked about other ways to make the team feel prideful, they said school uniforms help, and that's it, which is a weak answer. You're finished.